it's more surreal than any Asimov story you could imagine. I remember I was traveling around China once trying to learn about agriculture. And one of the companies I visited was called China Green Agriculture. It's a company based in Xi'an. And I went in and I was all like positive about China and agriculture and this company that was making fertilizer. And I go into the company and they have a sign for some totally other company. And I say, "Where's China Green Agriculture?" And they say, "What?" And I say, "This is the address for this listed company called China Green Agriculture." And the receptionist says, "Oh, yeah, I think there might be a listed company. It's something else." And, I sit down with the general manager once I sort out where I am, and he tells me totally different things than the company has disclosed. And I realize, oh, my God, this is a total fraud. And it's listed on the U.S. exchange and trade. It was trading then at like $300–400 million. And nobody seems to know that. So that kind of got me started. I felt like I had to disclose that. I ended up writing a report on that company and another company called China Agritech, which is very similar and also really completely fraudulent. And that kind of got me going. I think it's just a sort of innate sense of outrage. What you need to do is think, how transparent is this? How much can I really see? Alibaba has what, upwards of 1,000 consolidated subsidiaries right now. There are, simple companies, Baidu probably has about 100. There are much simpler companies that operate through, 30 or 40 operating entities. The question is, if you were running that company, would you really be able to get a handle on the operations? And if the answer is no, or you're not sure, then you better not invest in that company. I would say that the most common type of fraud we find in China is what you would call propping and tunneling fraud, where you report fake margins and more profit than you really have, and then you have to tunnel it off your balance sheet by having fake assets. So that's the most common thing. So you'll see a company that says it's making, I don't know, let's say, pleather seats for cars, and they're claiming that they make 60% margins, and they're really making 20% margins. So that's, let's say, $100 million a year in fake profits. So they have these weird bonds that they own. So that's common in China. In the US, that's not such a common sort of strategy. You find that they tend to distribute the padding through a whole lot of different categories of their financial statements. So it takes more forensic work on the financials in the US companies. Essentially, you look for anomalies. You look for gross margins that are too big. You look for big assets on the balance sheet. You look for companies that claim a lot of cash but are nevertheless borrowing. And once you find those flags, then you start to look at the business itself. Evergrande is kind of the Lehman Brothers of China. Evergrande eventually will go, and when it does, it will spell really bad news for the Chinese economy generally. So I just saw, oh my God, Evergrande is misrepresenting everything it does. It's selling these apartments as if they were bonds. People are, using these apartments as leverage. They're taking out all sorts of shadow bank loans. They're paying their suppliers in apartments. All of these weird practices. And surely that can't be a good bet for the investor. I think I started following it in about 2012. I must have visited at least 40 different Evergrande projects. I think I've seen maybe 2 or 3 that were fully occupied. And yet, they're all fully sold. And And you go. It's more surreal than any Asimov story you could imagine. You just go into these massive complexes, some of which are built for 50 and 60,000 people, and there will be a supposed theater that's all boarded up with bats flying around and all dark, and there will be a supermarket with chain locks on the doors because it never opened. There will be, row after row of villa with maybe 1 in 8 that's actually occupied. It's, ghost town after ghost town they build, and yet they're selling the dream of someday in the future this is going to turn into Paris, and people believe it.